Tag's only been in existence for 3 years. I've been here for the last 2 as the CEO, but it's been a fun ride. We were chartered by the leading trade associations, the IAB of course, but also the Association of National Advertisers and the 4As, to bring the industry together to fight criminal activity, specifically fraud, piracy, and malware. But we also have this overarching mission to increase transparency throughout the ecosystem. We really bring the entire industry together to create solutions to these problems. So all the way from marketers to agencies, the entire ad tech system, and then of course publishers. And what we do is we come up with high standards. So let's talk about fighting fraud. And we set really high bar, and any company then can meet those requirements to very effectively identify and filter non-human fraudulent traffic out of what they're buying or selling, because marketers and agencies shouldn't buy fraud, just as publishers and ad tech folks shouldn't sell fraud. Then they can get a tag certified against fraud seal. And that means something in the marketplace. It means you're living up to the highest levels of fighting criminal activity. It's always going to be a little bit of a game of whack-a-mole, as the criminals are well organized and financed, but we have made tremendous strides. If I think back to 1 year ago today, when we were having the same conversation at ALM after Mark Pritchard from P&G had put out his manifesto of we must change this ecosystem. We, as an organization, went from about 140 members to today we have 500 members. So the industry has rallied around tag and these solutions. But more importantly, our certification programs are proving to be very effective. This past December, we just issued our first bit of research in the fraud space. What we found was that if agencies and marketers work with trusted actors that provide transparency and are certified against fraud, then that tag certified channel will eliminate 83% of all fraudulent traffic, more than 600% cleaner than the industry average. It's a pretty good start. There are best practices everybody should follow. Tag is just one part of the solution. I always tell companies, you need to know who your partners are. This theme of transparency that we're looking at is so important. It's pervasive throughout the industry. So transparency as far as who your partners are, and also what their practices are. That applies to publishers and marketers and everybody throughout. We think that it's key. We have to keep pushing transparency and trust. What we've seen is, I think, this turning point where marketers are now really taking responsibility for their ad spend and protecting their brand. That's what this is all about. So we're seeing them bring some of these solutions in-house, and also making sure that they work with their agencies and have a strong partnership. You have to have policy in place. What are we going to do when we see fraud? How are we going to detect it? And most importantly, don't buy it. One of the things we found in our research was that still a number of marketers, even when this type of inventory is identified, they still pay for it. We have to change that, but more and more marketers understand that this hurts them. And it's just the right thing to do to help create a more trusted ecosystem.
Cool. And what are some of your hopes of takeaways in this area coming out of ALM this year?
Well, I think it's just further engagement, right? It's everybody understands transparency is key, knowing your partners, but making this a global system. I was sitting in the main area and sitting with people from all across Europe and Southeast Asia. So we have to rise up to have global solutions. That's why TAG, for example, is operating across 26 different countries and 6 continents to create a single solution that works for marketers. That's the key. Less complexity, and you can do that through greater trust and transparency.